This is a bonsai in the making that has been growing from 5 years from a self-starter seedling found in the garden. I believe it's a ficus. I'm by no means an expert. I'm playing, I am learning. I know I will make mistakes. So take this probably more as a guide of what not to do rather than a guide of what to do. It's had a few branches really thrive with some growth over the last few months, and I just want to give it a bit of a chop back. The branches got a little bit of size in them. I want to be quite harsh for the top areas, and I've got this branch here that's crossing over, and I'm not sure I like that. And there are other growth points coming out the other side. So that one, I might just chop that all the way back. And see what comes out of the rest of it. With that gone, you can see I had chopped back here, and it's got a couple of growth coming out either side. So I just want to take it back just to above those leaf pairs that are there, and then see if we get some more growth coming out of those sections just to beef it up a little bit. We've got this long one at the back, and I'm tempted to not cut it all the way back, to leave those leaves out there just to give it some shape. You can always cut it back more. You can always cut back more. You can't add back what you've cut off, unlike woodworking, where you can add some back on with the odd joint of varying natures, but with this, once it's cut, it's cut. I mean, you could graft, but that defeats the point. So just spinning it around, I've got this one coming out here, which I quite like. But I might cut it back here to allow it to grow some more branches out there and thicken up a bit. I don't want to go too nuts on this at this point. I have got a wire in one branch down here that I wanted to pull down. So this one here I've pulled down, and this one I've left to grow naturally out straight. It's going slightly back further out the back, and I wanted to pull this one down and forward a bit. So that's pretty much all I want to do to this one at this point. And it just brings it back under control a little bit as far as those long branches that were sticking out all over the place. Takes care of those and just brings it back into some resemblance of a reasonable sized tree. Now, I'm not going to take the larger leaves off at this point. I'm going to leave them. It is late in the summer at this point, so there'll be another bit of growth spurt off it before we start to come into the autumn months. This is Australia, so for example today around Melbourne it's 30 degrees give or take, depending on where you are. That's Celsius, not Fahrenheit for you Americans. Yesterday was 36 degrees Celsius, good beach weather. So I don't want to hit these too hard in that sort of weather, but a little bit of a trim like this, and I can already feel those leaves starting to dry up and go limp. I think for this, that'll be enough for now. It just brings it back into control a little bit, makes it look a little bit more like a full-size tree rather than a bonsai that's been let to grow out of control, and that'll give it an opportunity to grow some more branches out of those ones that I've cut back, just to thicken it up and give it a bit more of a canopy, which is what I'm looking to achieve. I have lifted this one about 6 months back out of the pot, and I've got clear air underneath in the roots. The roots aren't the most attractive, but I'm considering whether I do a root over rock with it, or whether I bury it back down, grow roots out, radial roots out from this point, which has still got some growing down. It's still sending some down to find the earth, and maybe chop those bigger ones off. But I don't want to mess with it at this point. We'll just leave that alone. And I'm quite happy with that as it stands as a quick trim, and put it back on its display stand. And there it is, back on its display stand as the centerpiece for the coffee table out the back. It is my favourite bonsai at this point, having only been in the game for a short period of time and only doing it as a hobby, no intentions of doing any professional displays or competitions. I'm just doing it for the personal enjoyment. So if I don't follow rules, not too concerned. For me, it's about the pleasing nature of the shape and design that works for my eyes. If others get pleasure out of that, that's great. And a quick rundown of my nursery slash play table. We've got some willow that has been taken from some cuttings, and that's taken off really well. I had some of the willow really take off extraordinarily well, and I trimmed it back and created a couple more cuttings out of it. Unfortunately, blackbirds started digging around in these pots, and although these were shooting, the blackbirds sort of ripped them out of the dirt unceremoniously, and they've not survived. There's still green on one down the bottom, which that's half as much green as what was there a month ago, so I'm pretty sure this one's dead and buried. But as long as it's got the green there, in my mind there is a chance that something will come of it, so I'm just going to leave it alone. But the rest is pretty much sticks at this point that the blackbirds pulled out as they were nesting, looking for nesting material. And we've got had two plane trees, but unfortunately one of them got knocked out of the pot and was sort of left out of the pot for a couple of days on the ground. Didn't survive. This one is doing fine. We've gave it a bit of a decent vicious chop back. It's thrown out some new branches. It's growing strong. It's been surviving the hot weather no problem. It's a bit of ornamental cherry that we're just playing with branches, seeing what'll come of that. Here was a self-shooting. This one here, I have no idea what it actually is, but it's been growing for ages. It's not a fast-growing tree. That tree is about 4 years old. So I'm not sure what it is, what it'll come of it, but it is strong. It is continuing to grow. So I'm just going to leave it there and see where it goes. In the meanwhile, yes, I did borrow part of the pot to get those extra bits of willow growing. And of course, we have the obligatory jade, which was a cutting jammed in. It's rooted and growing all right, and threw out quite a few branches. So I've knocked that back and left a couple of branches there, and we'll just see what comes of that. But I expect that one will turn into quite a nice tree over the years. Of course, we have the Cotoneaster. This is one or two that got beaten around a little bit by the movers. It has copped a bit of damage from the heat that we've had, but the most of it is actually doing fine, and it's been growing pretty well. So I'm just sort of letting it go a little bit wild, let it draw some energy up and run a little bit, and then we'll cut it back, and I think that'll turn out to be quite a nice tree. We've also got this one here, which took quite a big hit. We lost a whole side thanks to the movers, and sorry for the lighting, the sun's behind us, hot glaring sun of Australia. But I really like the shape of this, and we've got a new branch come out the back here, which I'm thinking might do well pointing back the other way, replacing the branch that got knocked off. So we'll get some balance back into that, and possibly a branch that's coming out here and gets a bit of canopy here off it. But that's another long-term project. And this is one that we're just nursing at this point. It's one that was on its deathbed. Actually picked it up as buying just the pot from someone on Marketplace, but the tree was sort of gift with purchase as a dying tree. It's been hanging on, and there are signs of some new budding coming out of it. So we're just going to keep watering that one and leave it alone. We've put some wire on it to force some shape if it survives, and we'll just give it a chance to recover and grow. So that is the nursery area. All of these are freebies essentially, nothing that has had to be paid for. So it's a good play area. If I kill things, I'm not too fussed. It was a learning experience. This jade here is one that I've been growing in this pot for about 3 years now, and just keep knocking branches back here and there and looking for that to actually make a couple of branches out the side and possibly a nice canopy up here. And I've finally got something growing out of here that's heading in the right direction. So that's it. If you're into the hobby starting out like myself, one thing I've learned is more is better, and free is always good. Playing, and if you do happen to kill, it's no major impact, and the ones that do survive bring a lot of enjoyment. All the best.